Hi. I guess I didn't expect to be recording today. I got ahead of myself with my videos. I had such a run of them there that I finally finished putting up the ones from the 17th earlier today. 6 of them. It's quite a run. It just feels so good when it comes through like that, though, when it's got that real push and you know you're really inspired. That's a blessing. That's a blessing for me too, you know. I'm not giving you that stuff that comes through from higher self or something. I don't know what. It made me feel so good to hear Muji say the same thing. You know, he said, I don't know who speaks. You open your mouth and it comes out and you don't know who or what speaks. It comes out of that silence. But anyway, okay, so I don't know the subject matter here, although I've got a good clue. I want to say thanks to everybody. You've all been so generous with your comments on my videos and on my profile. And I'm just bathing and basking in light here, in reflected light back from you. And I'm really grateful. You know, it feels really good to be together in service on this upward spiral we're riding into higher consciousness and ascension, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, whenever that happens, with time disappearing. You know, that doesn't spook me, but it's an interesting quandary. I'm with a number of people. David Icke is one who's thinking that 2012 is nice and everything, but his sense is more like 2016. And so I'm hopeful that people aren't. Patricia Cori's another one. You know, she says the day she's looking forward to is December 22nd of 2012 because it'll be like Y2K. Everybody lived through it. There was no, you know, ultimate disaster and no instant translation of everyone into light either. We don't know, but I think it's a false kind of thing to get hung up on something like a calendar for a date. I know the Mayans are very specific and they're very special, but please go to MayanMajix, that's MaJix, or on my Blip TV channel, which is called Awake in the Now. The link to it's on almost all the journals. There's an Ian Lungold lecture. I think all of us, in order to be really responsible surrounding the Mayan calendar, should take in at least one of these lectures. They're all 2.5, 3 hours long. They're long. And one of them is going to be enough. If you're hungry for more, they're there. There's probably at least half a dozen nice long lectures, just free for the viewing. And they're very good. Like anybody and everybody else, he doesn't have the whole answer. Woven into the work is belief in biological evolution, the way it didn't happen. But, you know, we all get our piece of the pie and we all have clay feet. And so we all come in with the gems, the jewels, the gifts that we bring to share with our brethren here. But I think it's an important part, too, that we have those clay feet. We don't need any little tin gods and goddesses. We don't need anybody up on any kind of a pedestal, because all that does is it tempts us to look out of ourselves and go outside of ourselves for the ultimate authority. And that's not how it is, not anymore. If we want to really rise in consciousness, we've got to center and anchor within. Now, whether you call it in heart or whatever you call it, I don't care, but it's an interior thing and it's not a mental thing. And so just so you accomplish that, and you got to link up with your inner guru, your inner teacher, And you can conceptualize it any way you want. I float around with it. Sometimes I call it higher self, inner self, source, Christ self, higher mind. I mean, these are all just words, okay? Eckhart's a good one for saying words are pointers. They're pointing to something. And these kind of things like the higher consciousness pointed to by Muji and lived in by him, spoken out of from him, there's not a picture that you can put together in your mind for that because it's nothing physical. It's nothing that has borders, boundaries, dimensions, attributes. You can't give it adjectives. So the mind can't picture it. So it doesn't do to get too attached to our concepts. And then, oh my God, to have arguments over them, that is so pathetic, you know. But that's okay. We're all, when we first are integrating something, we'll still screw up with it again and again and again. It just happens. But the trick and the beauty is that the sincere heart, that's all that's needed, is the sincere soul, heart, being, whatever, you know, the sincerity. Because with that, you keep after it. It's like they say, you're a prize fighter. You go down 100 times, that's fine. As long as you get up 101, you're the winner. So expect to go down, you know. Don't let's get lost in the idea of some kind of 3D or physical perfection, because that's an illusion. I think it's a false ideal that's been set up to see if they can't get us to go for it, and that would just be an ego thing. That's why the clay feet are really good. The humility isn't something you put on you like a cloak. It's something that somehow, I don't necessarily want to say it comes from within, but maybe it's an attribute of truth or higher consciousness. I don't know. I just know it's critical and it's important, and it's a good not a tonic. It's a good antidote for ego and pride. And so the trick is then, when we've slipped off into the thing that we're trying to remove from our persona. Let's say you've got a temper problem, and you keep losing your temper and you don't mean to. You want to act instead of react, and you know that, and you understand, you have a pretty good grasp of it, but you find yourself slipping. Well, you know, especially if you're a journaler, you're going to be ahead of the game with this, because as you record things down and then as you look back and reflect, you know, you got to go back and read your own journals now and then, or listen to the videos, whatever you're doing, because the speaking isn't from you, it's through you, so it's also to you. Remember, these eyes through which I hoped to see God are the eyes through which God sees me. There's really nobody here. You know, this is just a convenient movie screen or something. All right. So what you'll find, what we all find, is that the time between when, let's say, temper, the time between when you lose your temper and you realize, oh crap, you know, I shouldn't have done that, I did it again. Initially, it might be days before it comes to you that, oh crap. The time shortens, and it shortens, and it shortens. And then one day you find that right after you said some really nasty things, right after, you became aware of it. And so it's really important not to beat up on the self and expect this instant perfection. That's a false goal. All right, that's ego nonsense, that's mental. That's the beauty of time. I mean, you know, I recently called it a hellhole here. And, you know, that's a perspective, okay? That's a perspective that seems pretty valid sometimes. But notice I said seems. Well, when you're in the midst of it, I mean, that's just what it is for you. But anyway, It's really, time is a blessing and beneficial, and there's a lot of beings that wish they could be here and be taking advantage of this, because this gives us, time is simultaneous, so everything is now. And even though that's really too much, it's not possible for the mind to grasp that, not the 3D mind. Higher mind, okay, but 3D mind, not. But one thing we can look at and realize is that when we step into time, it takes that which is one and it spreads it out as if there was time and space between it, and there's really not. But what it does is it gives us a chance to take things stepwise, to do a process, to, just like the ascension light is coming in, the increased energy hitting the planet. I love it that little grandmother can actually see the energy hitting the earth. And she said in the last year, right now, we have 3 times more light and energy in the earth and on it than we did a year ago. And so it's upping itself incrementally. And we're having our challenges and our aches and our pains and things in our lives that look like they're falling apart and all of this stuff. Well, a lot of that is just the fallout from being upped in vibration, and we're wanting to go through with it. And so there's the inner volunteer that has said, yes, I'm willing to do this. And so on the outer, we might not necessarily be so aware of that. On the outer, we see the results of that, you know, the life that looks like it's falling apart, which it's really not, just that the things that are in the way of the light are falling off. And so we're cooperating with that. I'm really liking this idea of identifying with higher self. I've been on such a trek of non-identification. I even went through that stage that I think a lot of people go through, where I didn't want to say I for a while. It was really awkward and uncomfortable, because the reality was I didn't know what I meant anymore. Just like I was a prayerful person, but at a certain point I had to quit that as well, because I lost my conception of God. Nisargadatta was the first one that blew that out of the water. And he didn't initially. I was just so shocked. Excuse me, I've got a little cat hair or something bothering me. Yeah, he blew me away when he talked about transcending God.